And I have no doubt I will do the same with our next effervescent guest. I have never met any human being who has not experienced Katie Gorka and not walked away saying, my gosh, she is brilliant, she is funny, she is beautiful. What the hell was she thinking when she married Sebastian? She is Katie Gorka, Chairwoman of the Fairfax Republican Party. Good morning, Madam Chairwoman.
Oh, Larry, you are so funny. Hi, good morning. Isn't Fairfax insane?
Yes, it is insane. Yes. And I know Seb could kill me, but I know that he's way focused on killing jihadists right now, so I'm down on the list. Listen, where do we start? We talked about it earlier in the program. Fairfax County eliminated any parental input now with regard to sex education. And we're talking about incredibly explicit, sensitive sex education that I think, Katie, it's fair to say goes well beyond just education. It goes into coercion in some cases when you look at the curriculum and some of the texts that these teachers are using. What the hell are they thinking?
It's absolutely incredible. You know, I was just looking again at the what they're currently teaching in what they call emotional and social health. And I was looking at the 7th grade lessons. Okay, 7th grade, I'm trying to remember. That's like 11 and 12 years old, I think. Mm-hmm. Okay, under human sexuality, the 2 topics are sexual orientation and gender identity.
Unbelievable.
I mean, really, that's what you start with? Anyway, yeah, so the story that you're referring to is the fact that there was a very, very limited opportunity for parents to weigh in on this through the Family Life Education Curriculum Advisory Committee. And on March 13th, the Fairfax County School Board got rid of it. So now all these decisions about what they're teaching our kids about family, about sex, about gender, about transgenderism, it's all going to be done by an internal advisory committee under the superintendent.
Really quickly, Katie, I just want to go back to that Family Life Education Advisory Committee. It's important to say that the school board was getting pushback because there were some real activists on that Education Advisory Committee. And parents were going to show up to the meeting. Fairfax got wind of it, and they kept rescheduling a meeting on the sort of the recommendations from this Family Life Education Advisory Committee. Again, not a lot of, there were absolutely no conservative parents on that advisory committee. It was filled with radical leftist activists. And so again, they kept rescheduling it, and then they canceled it altogether, and now they've done away with it. And the reason is because, again, parents got wind of it and were going to object, and the Fairfax County School did not want to hear about that. Isn't that correct?
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad you made that point. Yes, and I'm telling you, because at the Fairfax GOP, for example, we all had that on our calendars, and there was a whole group.
You guys were great.
We were prepared. Right, to show up for every meeting, and then in the end, on March 13th, they just canceled it, and now it doesn't exist anymore. So, and the really sad thing is, I think a ton of parents don't even know that this stuff is being taught in school. Because tell me honestly, what 12-year-old kid is going to come home and say, oh, Mom and Dad, I learned about oral sex in school today?
Right.
Exactly.
I know I wouldn't. Katie Gorka, let's talk about how this affects politics. Winsome Earl-Sears is now officially the Republican nominee for governor. No other candidate qualified for a primary ballot. Ditto over on the Democrat side with Abigail Spanberger. There is no doubt that if a bill such as this at the Fairfax County level made its way through Richmond and ended up on the governor's desk, either of those governors representing Virginians would make 2 very drastic different choices when it came time to sign or veto. How can you and the Republican Party in general turn this outrage in Fairfax County schools into electoral success? Because I still want to believe that the parents, the voters in Virginia are sane. They're not on board with this agenda.
No, 100%. In fact, I sat in on a very interesting focus group of voters in Fairfax who switched from Biden to Trump. And one of the top reasons they said they switched was because They don't like the radicalism of the Democrat Party anymore. All this talk about transgenderism has gone too far. So I think our real challenge is just to educate voters. They see it happening on the national level, but I fear that too many people don't realize it's actually happening right here in Fairfax County. And, honestly, there's just not enough local news sources. I mean, you guys do an incredible job of talking about these issues. But, the old days of like little local papers have largely gone by the wayside. So it's very hard to reach people and tell them this is what's happening.
It is. And I'll give a shout out to Nick Minnock, who's excellent on this stuff as well. But you're right. And I think you've really captured something here. There's a lot of people in Fairfax who can afford to go to private school. There are some that are homeschooling. But there are a lot of families that are sort of trapped in these public schools. And that's why I think that the Fairfax County Public Schools has sort of taken it away from parents, because they really don't want the remaining parents to know about that. But Katie, a shout out to you too. You have been so great on covering this and informing at least members of the GOP. And I know there's a lot of other both Catholic groups and other religious groups that are. How important is it to work with these other groups and to get the word out, since the media isn't?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think it's working with influencers, working with groups, and there are various groups that have banded together. But, you gave Nick Minnock a shout out, and I totally agree. He's done a great job. But, the other person I really also want to give a shout out to is Luke Rosiak.
Yes.
He is a dad from Great Falls, and he now works for the Daily Wire. But he's been following this issue for a long time, and he just broke an amazing story. I don't even know if you've seen this yet. He broke an incredible story on Friday night about one of our Fairfax County School Board members, Kyle McDaniel. He has been accused of embezzling $175,000 from his employer. It's a flight school, Blue Label Aviation, using that money for personal needs, for his campaign, and for strip clubs. But here's the kicker about this. Kyle McDaniel also sits on the budget committee for the Fairfax County Public Schools. Like, really? We're going to trust this guy with the $4 billion budget of the Fairfax County Public Schools?
Wow.
Yeah, it is. Listen, you keep saying, Katie, we all keep saying things have to get just so insane and so crazy, so corrupt, so expensive, and so out of hand that eventually people will say, enough is enough. Maybe Fairfax County has gotten to that point. If so, the Republican Party actually has a perfect spokesperson and leader in you, and you are the one to harness that anger and frustration into solutions. It's always great to talk with you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Larry.
Love me some Katie Gorka there. 8:15. And yes, Seb could absolutely kick my butt. WMAL traffic and weather.
Bravo TV.